So this woman reaches out to me on LinkedIn and she's telling me, you know, like, hey, I'm just reaching out to people that I went to college with. I'm trying to network with people and I just want to get to know you and talk about what you've been doing since you graduated. And I was ready. I was like, oh yeah, I got some stories to tell you. So we set up a meeting. We have a little call and it's about an hour. I say an hour and 15 minutes long, and it's basically just me talking. I'm just telling her, like, you know, I left college and I went to this job and this happened and this happened and I did this and I did this. And, you know, when I was at college, I got to do these great things like studying abroad and like all of that stuff. And so she was really, you know, into that, and we were talking and it was just a great conversation. It was nothing shady or sketchy about her. And even in hindsight, I'll say, like, she is a very nice person. Because I had talked to a lot of crazy people in the past. She did not give me any crazy vibes. So we just had a really great conversation. And she was like, man, I'd like to talk to you some more. Can we, you know, continue talking? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking for more friends. Always looking for more friends. So we set up another call. And well, actually, something that she did mention, now that I think about it, was that she was working in e-commerce. And that was very interesting to me because I, you know, was saving money and I was trying to learn about having multiple streams of income and how do I, you know, invest money or just do anything that I can do where I can get some extra money in my pocket from some type of source. So she mentioned that she worked in e-commerce on the side in addition to her current job. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds really cool. She's like, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about it if you want. And I was like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. I've been looking for someone who is willing to talk to me and explain what the hell e-commerce is and how it works and how I can make it work for me. I've been watching videos and everything. So she told me, you know, you can just look up some stuff and then, you know, me and you will talk next week and we'll just talk about it and I'll explain to you what I do. And I was like, okay, cool, great. So we have our second call. I asked her a couple questions about what she's been going through, how her life's been since college, because first time I just talked about myself. Yeah. So I asked her like what she's been doing since college, and she tells me about like why she majored and what she majored in and what she's doing, and she don't really like her job. And that's why she wants to do the e-commerce thing because it's more freeing and you make more money and you work for yourself. And I was like, yep. All of that. I'm down with all of that. So we have our meeting, and in this time I did some research because that's who I am. I'm a research queen. I look up everything. So I'm doing research about e-commerce. I'm like learning like little strategies, looking up glossaries and terms and all of these different things so that when we talk, I can explain to her, I can like kind of understand what she's saying. So we talk, I tell her some of the things that I learned about, some of the videos I saw about people who were selling things on Amazon or Shopify or all of that stuff. She was like, well, don't get caught up in none of those get rich quick schemes or the people who say things like, you know, I made all this money in 30 days and so can you if you just buy my course, and, you know, we're not trying to do anything like that. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm following along. And I believe that it was her. I believe she was the one who brought up MLMs. And that was one of the things in hindsight, looking back, I was like, wow, really? But she brought up the MLMs and asked me if I knew about them and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, I knew about them. They're trash and, you know, they wreck people's lives. They wreck people's jobs. People be trying to get their coworkers to sign up and it's awful. And she was like, yeah, it's so terrible that people fall for these MLMs and they fall for these pyramid schemes. And yeah, you don't want to get involved in nothing like that. And so we had that whole conversation and she basically told me that she wasn't doing anything like that. She was doing something different. She was using e-commerce in a different way. And I tell her, I was like, oh, this e-commerce stuff sounds great, but I don't have a product to sell. So how do I start a business and I don't have a product? You know, that doesn't really make sense. So she gives me this example, which I later found out is a textbook example they use, of franchising a McDonald's. And she says, if you own a McDonald's, even as the owner, you still have to come to work every day and make sure that everybody's doing what they have to do. If you own several McDonald's, how do you make sure the McDonald's are still working well? You can't be at all the McDonald's in the same place. You hire people under you who are going to be owners of those individual McDonald's, and you train them. You make sure that they're doing everything a certain way so that you can rake in the profit without having to directly be in there for like 12 hours a day, making sure everything's running properly. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. So if you own, you know, so if you have like these different, if you own a McDonald's, if you own like 5 McDonald's and you have 5 people who are like the manager of the McDonald's, they can run it for you while you're at home doing whatever you want to do. And you just show up every now and then, but you get all this extra money because you're actually the owner. I was like, okay, cool. That makes sense. That makes sense. And she was like telling me about Airbnb and Amazon, and and Uber. And she was like, Uber doesn't own any cars. They don't issue out cars. Airbnb doesn't issue out houses and apartments, but they make billions of dollars. Well, not now, but they make billions of dollars because they have people who are like, you know, like people who own their own business. Like if you're an Uber driver, you're an Uber driver for yourself. Nobody else gets to drive your car. If you're an Airbnb person, nobody else has your house. This is your house that you use. And then a portion of the money goes to Uber or Airbnb because you use their platform or their service. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm following. And she was telling me that the whole thing where the money is, if you want to make money, but you don't want to do a lot of work, then you have to be a connector. Like Amazon, now they have products, but before they had products, Amazon made its money by being the connector between the consumer and the seller. And then they used Amazon's platform to sell things to consumers. And then Amazon used FedEx or UPS to do all the deliveries. And then they raked in all the money just by having the site. So I was like, yeah, okay, I feel you. I feel you. This all makes sense to me. So she's like, if you want to be more involved, I'll explain to you like how I make my money. And I was like, yeah. Tell me about it. So she says, well, you don't need a product because I work with this company called Amway, and Amway provides the product. They provide the distribution for the product. So all you have to do is get a customer to buy the product from you, and then Amway will handle all the rest of it, and then you just get the money. And I was like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. So I work for Amway. And she was like, nah, you work for yourself. And I was like, so, okay. So then the way I understood it at that moment was like, so I buy the products from them, and then I sell them to people, and then I keep the difference. Okay. So that's how it was in my mind. I had never heard of Amway. Never. You know, I am either a millennial or a Gen Z, whichever one the internet feels like calling me today. I had never heard of them. So it didn't throw up any bells, any alarm bells or red flags. I just never heard of Amway. So I was like, okay, cool. So I called my mentor, who's much older than me. I love her to death, and I trust her judgment on everything. And I say, hey, so I've been talking to this woman. I told you about her. She went to the same college as me. And she told me that this is how the e-commerce thing works, and this is how she makes her money. She uses a company called Amway. And then my mentor says, oh yeah, I've heard of them. They're MLM. Yeah. And I was like, no, that can't be right. We specifically talked about MLMs and how they were terrible. She wouldn't be selling me on an MLM. That doesn't make any sense. And she was like, nah, the Amway is an MLM. And she was like, well, there's nothing wrong with it. And she was like, it's not illegal, you know. And she's like, I know people who work in MLMs and who are successful. They have a huge downline, and that's how they're successful. And she was like, look, if you want to do this, do it. It's fine. Just understand that you're working in an MLM, and you're going to have to recruit people to be in your downline. And that's how you're going to be able to be successful in this business. And I was like, I don't want to recruit people. How am I going to recruit people to do something I don't even know what the fuck it is yet? I haven't even done it. How am I going to recruit people to make money? And the whole recruiting people to work under you by selling them the dream that was sold to you, it feels gross to me. It really goes against some type of moral compass that I have, it just goes against it. So I was like, And she was like, well, you know, you like to research. You just do a lot of research on Amway and just, you know, make your own decision. I'm not going to tell you what you should do. Just, you know, do your research. So I go and I do my research, and I found a lot of stuff. I found all kinds of stuff. I found like Amway ruined my life. Amway took $3,000 from me and my family. You know, Amway was sued in 2010 for some stuff that they did in 2007, lying about how much money people made. Amway was lying about how many people could actually make any money. Only, what was it, less than 2% or 1% of people actually are successful in Amway. And then there's a lot of people who don't make any money. And then the majority of people who do make money make around an extra $200 a month. And that's it. And it was just like, okay, so this is a problem. This is tragic. And it was so many people and so many videos. And I found this really cool channel. It was a smaller channel of this woman talking about her experience. And I was just like, no, I don't know about all this. No, I don't think this is gonna be right for me. So I literally texted her on the phone and I said, I did my research on Amway and we need to talk. And she was like, cool, let's talk. And so we talked, and I explained to her like all the different things that I found, and she talked me down from like all of it. And she was like, I'm so excited that you did research. I'm so glad that you looked things up. You know, that's really good. I like that you're being proactive and finding these things out and making a conscientious decision. And I was like, oh, okay, she's kind of respectful. I thought she was going to be like, fuck off, you don't understand me. But no, she was just really nice about it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And she was like, well, I'm letting you know that a lot of what you're saying is true. And I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, but the thing is, and she said this herself, Amway is not an MLM. Amway just has a product and a distribution center for that product. And then people can sell the product. It's not an MLM, but people have used it for their MLMs. And that's where a lot of these narratives are coming from. And she's like, I'm just like you. I did research and I saw people who were, you know, losing all this money. And that's not my experience, because I use Amway, but I use Amway through Worldwide Dream Builders. And then I got hit with another name, and I was like, this is like our third conversation you bringing up. You're really slow about disseminating information. So she's like, I use Worldwide Dream Builder. So I'm like, never heard of them either. Let me go do some research. She was basically saying what Worldwide Dream Builders is that they help you use Amway in a way where you are successful. Basically, you get a mentor and a team, and these people help you change your whole life. And this was really what she sold me on, was the mentorship. And she was like, this is really a mentorship opportunity. It's really not even about Amway. So she tells me that her upline, her mentors with Worldwide Dream Builders created a plan to help her pay off her debt, because she has student loan debt just like I do, to help her pay off her debt and to help her learn how to budget so that she could actually make money and not lose money. And she's like, it's really, really cheap to start. Amway only costs, I think, $190 to become a individual business owner, an IBO. So it doesn't cost a lot of money. And Worldwide Dream Builders helps you create a plan to make sure that you don't fail. So they help you become part of that 1% by training you up and giving you the mentorship to change your whole life and to actually be successful using Amway. And I was like, oh, okay, I see what you mean now. Yes, Worldwide Dream Builders helps you actually be good at Amway. Okay, got it. And so she tells me all these things, and it's like, just like that, I'm back on board. Like, I was preparing to come to her and be like, I don't want to do no MLM nonsense. But she says all these things, and she's incredibly nice. She's incredibly charismatic, and I'm back on board. So I'm talking to my friend, or I'm talking to my therapist, and I'm like, nah, you don't understand though. Like, but if you go through Worldwide Dream Builders, right, then they actually give you training and help you budget and make a plan so that you can be successful in Amway. So I done flipped my whole script. I'm right back on the train with her. And then I go and I look up Worldwide Dream Builders. And that was a little bit more difficult as far as finding information about them. It's easy to find a lot of information about Amway because they've been around for about like 60 years. And that was another thing she used as a selling point was Amway is not a scam. They make billions of dollars every year. They have been around for 60 years. Their products are good quality. That's how you know that they're legit. And so when I was looking up information about Worldwide Dream Builders, it was a lot harder to find people's specific experience with them until I found the channel. I forget her name, but I'm gonna pull her back up because she's really good. But she talked about specifically her experiences with Worldwide Dream Builders using Amway. And that was exactly what I was looking for. Because I was running across all kinds of stuff. I was running across people who was like, my life was ruined. And I was running across people like all of these other people who are liars. Amway is the truth. It was just all over the place. So I find her channel and I start listening to stuff that she's saying. And I'm like, wait a minute now. This is all the same stuff that this woman has been saying to me. And this woman was so good at talking to me. It felt like it was, and there was a lot of times, don't get me wrong, where she was being very authentic, where she was telling me about her personal life and her personal struggles and like what's been happening with her since graduation. So I was like really down with it. I was like, okay, yeah, I trust this woman. She's very authentic. She's not giving me scammer vibes. But some of the things that she said were exactly like what this woman said to me. And so I was like, okay, this is a little suspicious. And I talked to the woman again. And instead of me being like, you know, I need you to answer these questions, I was just like, you know what? I want to get more information. I just want to get more information. I'm very curious about how all this stuff works. I'm really on the fence. You know, some people are telling me it sounds like a scam. Some people telling me it sounds fine. Some people are like, you know, oh, you're just going to be selling stuff. Oh, our family will support you if you're just selling things. You know, what's the problem? And something that my mentor asked me, she was like, I guarantee you, even though she's not saying it, she's getting some kind of commission off of recruiting you, and whatever you're making, she's making money from it. Hey, baby. But I guarantee you that she's getting some kind of commission. She has a financial incentive to get you, and that's how MLMs work. So I'm sitting here like, okay. And I'm thinking that I have my, you know, that I have my bullshit detectors on. I'm thinking that I'm like being clear-headed about this and just being like, you know what, but let me hear her out more, you know, let her give me more information about like how all of this works and, you know, what it takes to be successful. And in my mind, I'm like, you know what, I think I could do this. I just want to do the recruiting part, you know, I'll just do the selling part, you know, I just make money that way. And my mentor was like, that's not how it works. You have to recruit people. And I'm just like, well, if I have to, I'm not gonna do it. And I'm still talking to this woman, and I'm still like, okay, so how do I do this? You know, explain this to me. And she breaks down like simple things like, oh, the compensation plan. And she was like, and I asked her straight up, I said, what do you get out of this? What do you get out of me joining and working under you? And she was like, you're not working under me. We're a team. And the thing that I do get from it, I don't get paid off of what you get paid. I don't get a percentage of your earnings. But when you do join, I get a referral bonus. And when you do well and you accomplish like certain milestones, I will get a performance bonus based off your performance. And so she was saying, like, even though I get that performance boost, it is really important to me that you are successful, because the more successful you are, the more of a performance boost that I can get from you. So you can trust that Worldwide Dream Builders will help you succeed, because it is in our financial interest for you to succeed. So I was like, okay, I see that. You know, oh, that sounds, I'm listening and I'm like, oh, that sounds a lot nicer. You know, it makes sense that you you know, you train me up and you mentor me, and then you get a little stuff on the back end and stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I'm just going along with it. And I'm like trying to talk to different people, and I'm like, can I actually do this? Because again, the stress of me not potentially having a job when I have my own apartment and I have rent and I got bills is stressful. And if this thing can help me make some money, why not do it? Even if I don't make a lot of money and I just make a little bit of money by selling these products, why not do it? So I'm still, why are you like this? So I'm still like on board, and I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, let me see how far this can go. Let me see, you know, how much I can do before I decide, okay, I'm not gonna do this, you know. And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna give myself a few months, see how things go. Like, if I just need them to really, really explain to me how I can be successful doing this, really, really explain to me how this thing works. You're gonna slide off my lap is what's gonna happen to you if you keep acting like that. But I just really need them to explain it to me. And in hindsight, they weren't really explaining stuff. Like, they were dropping little nuggets of like information, but they weren't really trying to explain stuff. And she kept telling me, like, you know, when we have the board plan though, when you meet my mentors, you're gonna find out, like, you're gonna have all your questions answered, and you're gonna see my mentors are so amazing. They taught me so much. They helped me pay off my debt. And it's really about the mentorship. It's really about the mentorship. It's not even that much about Amway. It's not even that much about Worldwide Dream Builders. It's about the mentorship opportunity. And I was like, I like mentorship. You know, I like, you know, getting with a good group of people who are going to support me and who can help me like figure out my life and figure out my plans. That all sounds great. So I'm still in it. In my mind, she has now shifted me to caring less about Amway and Worldwide Dream Builders and what I'm actually going to be doing with that. She shifted me to now I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to get mentors. This is going to be so amazing. And they're really invested in me being successful, not just in Amway, but in life. Oh, this is going to be amazing. I'm always looking for a support system. So she has shifted my whole thought process on this just by the nature of her being a very, very charismatic. And I still feel like she's a very authentic person. I don't feel like she was reading off of scripts. I don't feel like she was being malicious. I felt like she really believed that what she was doing was helping her, and she wanted to pay it forward to somebody who she really liked, and she wanted to help. And she did pay off her debt. And she told me that she was planning to quit her job next year so that she could do this whole business thing full time. And well, not full time, part time, because that was another part of the selling point was you only spend 15 to 20 hours a week on the business, and then the rest of the time is you do whatever you want. So she was going to leave her job once she got to a certain point in this business and take back her time and live her life the way she wanted to. She said her friends were both 28 and they'd already retired, and they're living their best life, doing whatever they want, going on whatever vacations they want. And she knows them and she trusts them and she loves them and they're amazing and they've helped her so much. And she's like, I know they're going to help you a lot, and you're going to get to meet them in the board plan, which is on Zoom right now because of everything going on. So she's like, you're going to get to meet them, and you're going to see it's going to be other people there, and it's going to be great. And she did. And it was one thing that I remember from the video that I watched explaining how this was going to go. And it was the idea that, let me see if I can get you a spot in the board plan, because they're just so crowded and they're so busy. Like, I need to, you know, you may not get in this one. So she was like, let me see if I can get you a spot. And then naturally a couple of days later, she was like, oh, I got you a spot in the board plan, or I got you a seat in the board plan, and it's going to be at this time. And for my time zone, they were in a different time zone. For my time zone, it was going to be from 10 p.m. to midnight. And I was like, that's awfully late. And she was like, well, where we are is like 8 to 10. And I was like, that's still awfully late for people who are retired You know, I'm thinking that when you have something like this and you don't want people to be in the middle of work, it would be kind of like 6 or 7 p.m., you know, at the latest. But it wasn't. So I'm like, oh, I have to stay up really late for that. I like to go to bed early, but I'm going to stay up late for it. And because that was just the biggest thing to me. I wanted to see what was about to happen at this board plan, because I was promised all these answers. I was promised all the answers to my questions at the board plan, along with an opportunity to ask more questions to the golden celebrities that she had built these 2 people up to be, who were her mentors. I finally got an opportunity to ask them these questions. And so I was down for it. I was going to do it. And I had reached out to another friend of mine who was 60. And I was like, you know about this Amway? And she was like, yeah. And she was trying to be nice about it. She was like, do you like selling stuff though? Do you want a job in sales? Because this is like a sales job, right? And I was like, I don't even know. And I was trying to explain to her the stuff that I had learned, and she was like, don't do it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go to this board plan and I'm going to see. And I watched the video explaining to me how the board plan was going to go beat for beat. It was an hour-long video explaining how a 2-hour-long board plan was going to be. And I also found out that the board plans do happen 8 to 10 p.m. That's just the standard time that they have to happen at. So I took a bunch of notes, because once that board plan happened, I was going to mark down every time they said stuff that was exactly what that other person said, because I wanted to know if they were like reading from a script or if they were being authentic. And that board plan, man, that board plan was wild. But I'm going to cut this here, and in the next video, I'm going to talk about what happened at the board plan, and just how crazy it was. Like, I could not believe the things that were said in this board plan. But I'm gonna put that in the next video. So, see you later.